Coleman has been a dear friend to me and Becky for many years. He has always been there for us both. If we could just take a moment to acknowledge how nice I've been about Adam. Ladies and gentlemen, the best man.
I didn't expect to be in tears while. I thought Molly and me was emotional. That's the benchmark for my adult crying. Okay, alright. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Adam, and as Jay's best man, I have the honour of presiding over the only 5 minutes of the wedding that Becky didn't plan. I should point out at this early stage that I affectionately refer to the man that many of you know as James as Jay. In fact, this speech may be the first time that I've actually called him by his full name. I just wanted to get that in early before anyone starts to worry that I've got the wrong wedding. Another quick disclaimer before we start. I want to point out that I am in fact a fantastic public speaker. Now I can reassure you all that any redness of the face or shaking of the hands, cracking of the voice or even dampness of the trousers are all these symbols of immense pride and jubilation. To thank a few people. Thanks first of all to the staff here at Boys Hall today for the great job they've done today, and especially to Marcus for mostly keeping things very small. Mostly was just added in just I'd also like to raise a toast to Kevin, Jill and Lindsay and Carol, not just as thank you for all the help in organising the occasion, but for raising the two wonderful people that brought us all together today. So, I'd like to thank Jay for his kind words on behalf of the bridesmaids. I'd like to thank Jay for his kind words on behalf of the bridesmaids, who have done an excellent job today and do, of course, all look amazing. Look, you look amazing. Herself, who I'm sure agrees well, looks absolutely stunning. So, why are we here today? What is a wedding? Well, the Oxford English Dictionary defines it as a removal of small, unwanted plants from a garden. To me, it's much more than that. We're all here today to celebrate the loving union of Rebecca Hammond, a beautiful, charming, caring and intelligent young woman, and James Coleman, the inventor of the fried sandwich. Jay and I met in September 2005 on the day that we moved into the same halls of residence at Sussex University, and I remember that day like it was yesterday. There I was, an 18-year-old, leather jacket wearing, purple-haired punk rocker, so rebellious and cool that I didn't even mind my mum helping me bring the Waitrose shopping in. I stepped into my new home for the first time and opened the door to find a grunting, groaning heap of a man rolling around under the kitchen table, barely able to lift his head to greet me. Wow, I thought, this guy must really know how to party. It's only 2 o'clock on our first day here. Now, it turned out that Jay had actually been in his room unpacking, and the bleary-eyed figure under the table was actually just Kevin. Helping tightening some screws on the dodgy furniture. He does himself to fend for himself. But 12 blurry, booze-fueled hours later, Jay and I had become best friends. And that night, as he drifted peacefully off to sleep, with his head down the toilet, little did he know that the next day a new housemate would arrive who would change his life forever. No, not a Kuko. A strange Japanese exchange student. But of course our beautiful bride, Rebecca. And the rest, as they say, is history. History which I'll now take great pleasure in sharing.
What happened to Snoop?
Oh, he's dead.
That's just a hamster, if anyone by the time Becky arrived that Sunday afternoon, Jay and I had had plenty of time for another visit to the campus bar and had returned to the house for some breakfast to find our new housemate and her parents. If someone had told Lindsay and Carol that the excitable, floppy-haired drunkard they met in the kitchen that day would one day marry their daughter, I'm sure they would have popped Becky in the boots of the car. Perhaps I'm being unfair. Looking back on it now, in those first few months at university, Jay showed all of the qualities that any woman would look for in a potential husband, and he made sure that Becky took notice. He was certainly smart. He demonstrated that in the kitchen that day, when even in his drunken haze he was cunning enough to try to hide an empty vodka bottle behind a loaf of bread, not to create a bad first impression. He was strong too. He broke Becky's brand new frying pan by smashing me over the head with it. He was brave, and his frequent acts of heroicism were usually preceded by the words, "Becky, look how up I am! I'm going to jump down!" He was creative. His brainchild, "Throw the onion," involving putting an onion in a sock and launching it into the air, is set to wow the crowds at the Olympics. And of course, he was caring. So caring that he used the shared bathroom in the house as a temporary aviary to house an injured crow we found. Who knew one little bird could make so much noise? That's the crow, I mean. At this point in the speech, it's traditional for the best man to offer the groom some advice as he takes his first step into married life. It's customary for me to warn you of the power plays of marriage and the importance of establishing who wears the trousers in the relationship. But I think everyone here knows that ship sailed a long time. Even before you agreed to have your wedding on the same day as the FA Cup. I'm also supposed to remind you of all the romantic idioms and cliches that will guide you through married life. Remember that love is blind, for example. But you know that one, and I'm sure that every morning when you look in the mirror, you thank God that it is. And Lindsay may have said that marriage is like a duet, but I think that anyone here that's ever heard you sing would probably suggest adding deafness to the list of illnesses.
Not a singer.
But I do actually have some serious advice for both of you. To Becky, I say that in marriage, men are like a fine wine. They start out like grapes, and it's your job to stamp them down and To Jay, I say that women too are like a fine wine. They start out fresh, fruity, and intoxicating to the mind, but they turn full-bodied with age, and eventually leave you with a splitting headache. Jay, I just want to say it's been an absolute honour being your best man today, and I couldn't be happier for the two of you. We've been best friends since the day that we met, and I know that'll never change. Now, I'm not a great believer in fate, but I can't help thinking how much we owe to the undergraduate housing administrators. Could they ever have known that the 4 individuals from around the country they randomly allocated to Brighthelm 26 would, 7 years later, be bride, groom, maid of honour, and best man at the same wedding? So cheers to them.
Yeah.
The two of you are the best friends I've ever had, and the only thing that made me happier than finding you is knowing that you found each other. I'm sure everyone here joins me in wishing you both a lifetime of love and happiness. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to propose a toast. A toast to the happiest, funniest, smartest, and downright sexiest man alive. My friends, your friends, our newlyweds, Jay and Becky, James and Rebecca, Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. Coleman. Thank you.